Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Dear brothers and sisters, inshallah, this Ramadan, every day after Salat al-Fajr, we will have a 5 to 10 minute long khatira, so not something too long, inshallah. And the series is called 30 Books in 30 Days. Every morning, inshallah ta'ala, I will be talking about a book in English that I believe every Muslim home should have. So at the end of the month, inshallah ta'ala, I would have suggested 30 books for you in various subjects. So inshallah, I will begin by today's book. But before I do that, I also wanted to inform everybody that also as part of the Ramadan program, we will have a talk on every Saturday and every Sunday. So just on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays after Dhuhr. A 1 hour talk, so about from 2:30 to about 3:30, in which I will be talking about the inevitable journey. This is a series in which I will talk about death and the afterlife. So death, and then what happens at the time of death, what we should do when somebody is dying, and then what happens after death, what happens in the grave, what happens in the life of barzakh. And then after that, we will also talk about the Day of Judgment. What happens on the Day of Judgment, what are the events on the Day of Judgment, and we will talk about paradise and hell, descriptions of each, inshallah ta'ala. So that will be every Saturday and Sunday, starting today, inshallah, after Salat al-Dhuhr for about 1 hour. So there'll be a total of about 8 sessions, inshallah ta'ala. As for the first book that I wanted to talk about, of course, it has to be related to the Quran. Every Muslim home should have a translation of the Quran. Every Muslim home should have, actually, preferably multiple translations of the Quran. And the reason why it's important to have a translation of the Quran is because most of us do not understand the Quranic Arabic language. So it is important for us to have a translation of the Quran that we can read and understand and use it for inspiration. Use it for inspiration. Because this is the book of guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent for all of us. Now, there is no translation of the Quran that is perfect. Every translation of the Quran is a human attempt to translate the word of Allah. A human attempt to translate the miracle of miracles into a different language. So every translation will have its strengths and weaknesses. And different people will develop an affinity for different translations that are out there. Some translations are more literal. Others are more poetic. Some are written in modern English. Some are written in classical English. Some are written with footnotes. Some are written without footnotes. Okay? And depending on your nature, your personality, you will develop an affinity with different kinds of translations. So what I would recommend is that for you to consult different translations and perhaps have more than one in your home. A few good translations that I can recommend include, for example, the translation by Abdullah Yusuf Ali. The benefit of this translation is that not only does it have the translation, but also commentary at the bottom. So this is by Abdullah Yusuf Ali. The drawback of this translation is it is written in classical English, and therefore it is challenging for those who are not used to that kind of language, but it is very attractive to those who are. So that's number one, the translation by Abdullah Yusuf Ali. A second translation that I can recommend is the translation by M.A.S. Abdul Halim. M.A.S. Abdul Halim. That is a much more easy to read translation written in modern English, but it does not have much commentary at the bottom. Another translation is the translation by Sahih International, a translation by Sahih International. And yet another translation is the one by Mustafa al-Khattab. Mustafa al-Khattab. So these are 4 translations that you can check out, inshaAllah ta'ala. But really, the one that I wanted to talk about today is the one that I brought with me here. And this one is not really just a translation of the Quran, but is actually a tafsir of the Quran. It's a tafsir of the Quran. And it is important for every Muslim home to have a tafsir of the Quran. In fact, multiple tafsirs of the Quran. A tafsir is a detailed commentary of the Quran. A lot of times when we are reading the Quran, the ayat have context. They have a background. And understanding the context and the background help us understand the meaning of the Quran. And so the books of tafsir give us that context and that background. Not only that, but if there are oftentimes differences in opinion among the Sahaba about what is meant by a particular ayah, and sometimes an ayah has multiple layers of meanings. This is part of the miracle of the Quran, that sometimes the same ayah has multiple layers of meanings, and multiple layers cannot be captured by a single translation, so they have to be explained in the commentary. And that helps us appreciate the beauty and the miracle and the power and the eloquence of the Quran. So a tafsir is important for these reasons and others. And though there are not that many tafasir in the English language out there, there are a few. However, the one that I wanted to recommend in today's khatira is this one that is called the Study Quran. The Study Quran. It has this navy blue and white cover. It was published recently in 2015. And this book has several unique qualities that you will not find in any other English translation of the Quran. First of all, the translation itself, which appears on top of the page, is very well done. It is very well done, written in solid, good English. That is a middle ground between old classical English and everyday English. So it's beautiful to read and easy to understand. Number one. And number two, at the bottom, it has long footnotes. Long footnotes. And that's why it is so thick, even though the paper is extremely thin. And the reason why it has long footnotes is, this is the best part, that the authors of this book have relied on 41 books of tafsir. 41 books of tafsir to compile this book. And 40 books of tafsir that they have relied on, most of them are classical tafsir. There is pretty much no classical book of tafsir that you have heard of that they have not employed in putting this book together. Whether it's Tabari or Qurtubi or Ibn Kathir or whatever. All of them have been used. And in the commentary, when they take an opinion from any of these books of tafsir, whether it's Razi or Qurtubi or whoever, they will always reference it. They will always tell you where are they getting this from, because oftentimes there are differences in opinion among the mufassirun. So sometimes you don't know where these people are getting this from, but they will always tell you where they got which opinion from. So it is truly, as the name suggests, the Study Quran. The Study Quran, because this is a translation of the Quran that is meant to be studied. That when you want to understand the Quran and want to take some time out to do that, you open it, you sit down on a desk, maybe with a pen or pencil, and you read the ayah and you read the translation and you study what have the ulama said about these ayat. And it has also several articles at the end of the translation in the appendices about the Quran and about the beliefs of Islam and Muslims, because the authors who put this work together, they put it together not only for Muslims but also for non-Muslims. So it is actually a very beautiful gift also that you can give to a non-Muslim friend, especially if they are educated, if they are university graduates and so on, because there is a level of academic quality that this book brings that will be appreciated by people who have completed a higher level of education. Of course, there is no book that is without shortcomings. No human work is without shortcomings. A translation of the Quran is a human effort. It's a human effort. So naturally, there are shortcomings in the book as well. There are passages that are controversial, that some of the contemporary scholars have found fault with. There are certain beliefs of some of these authors that do not align with the orthodox mainstream Sunni beliefs. And those beliefs show up while they are translating certain passages of the Quran. However, those issues are very few compared to the bulk of this work here. And so, as a result of that, I would highly recommend that every Muslim home have this in their home library, and you use it to study the Quran. And of course, anytime you are studying the Quran, if you ever have questions, you should always consult the ulama. That's what they're there for. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask those who know if you do not know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala connect our hearts to the Quran in this month. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us fast this entire month in a way that is pleasing to Him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from us. Ameen Ya Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.